Hey, how you doing? Justin here. Today we're checking out another legato pentatonic pattern. If you haven't seen the last installment in this series on the 3 in a line, you might want to check that out because it'll explain a whole heap of things, the reasons I'm teaching things a particular way and all of that. So go and check that out. Assuming you've seen that, this pattern is called reverse 3 in a line. So whereas previously we had the number pattern 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 6, now we're taking each group and reversing it. So when we're ascending the scale, going up the scale, we'll be going 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 5, 4, 3, 6, 5, 4, etc. It's a really, really hip sounding pattern. It's probably, no, not probably, it is my favorite melodic pattern to apply to pentatonics. I use it all the time. There's lots of different variations and cool things that you can do to it as well. It can be awkward to play it in the entirety of all 5 of the minor pentatonic or major pentatonic patterns. It's not something I do. It's something I did like 20 years ago. I practiced it and it probably helped with finger dexterity and stuff. But these days when I'm practicing it, I'm much more careful about trying to pick out little bits that I really like. And I suspect that might be what most of you guys are going to like as well. So I'm going to show you the whole pattern in position 1, in box 1 of the minor pentatonic. And then I'll share with you some licks and ways that I'm using it in other parts of the neck as well. But feel free, in fact it's probably a good idea to try it out in all 5 patterns if you can, just to get used to the, getting over fingering problems and how the, why it doesn't work and how you might get around it if you encounter that kind of melody idea that you want to play, because we should be driven by melody that we want to play, not by whether it's easy to make our fingers do stuff. So let me play this pattern for you first of all. So we're starting in box 1 of the minor pentatonic scale. So here's box 1. The 3 in a line pattern that we looked at previously was going up 3 off each note. So 3 off the first note, 3 off the second, 3 off the third, and descending. So now we're going to take that first group, but we're going to play it backwards. So starting on scale degree 3, 2, 1, then 4, 3, 2, 5, 4, 3. Okay. Now, there's a couple of interesting things that happen here. The fingering of it's not super easy. There's some jumps in there, particularly every second round when we jump over a string. Now, generally speaking, if you're going down, pick, up, flick, down, flick, down, up, you're jumping then with your picking hand from the thicker string to the 4th string. It's quite possible, and unless you're going like lightning fast, it shouldn't be causing too many problems. However, I found it a lot easier to move into some hybrid picking. So if I'm going for a hybrid picking approach, I'll actually start using my finger, the M finger, okay? P is the thumb, I index, M middle finger, the birdie finger, okay? So I'd go M, down, flick off, down, flick off, down, M, down, flick off, down, flick off, down, M, down, flick off, down, flick off, down, M, down, M. So it's only happening when I'm jumping to that new string. Now I think using hybrid picking is a really lovely thing. It's something I'm getting more and more into, particularly years ago I used to spend a lot of time trying to do cross alternate picking over strings and stuff like that, and I just think I should have just concentrated on hybrid picking because it makes a lot more sense physically to do it that way. Of course, you're going to find there's a little difference there between the tone of the note that's picked and a note that's played with your finger. You know, the finger's a little bit rounder. If you're using fingernail, then you probably notice it even less. I do find that if I just pick a little softer, it seems to even things out a little bit. But again, that's one for you to experiment with. This isn't a lesson on hybrid picking, but just something that you might want to be aware of for this particular pattern. If we go descending the pattern, each little group will be going up. So again, instead of going, we'll now go. Now, it kind of sounds cool, but it's not the kind of thing that I find I'm using musically. There's something about the way the melody comes out that just doesn't feel as musical to me. It doesn't work for me. Maybe it does for you. It feels a little bit more kind of angular that way for some reason. Whereas when I'm ascending the scale, doing this, it's kind of like climbing, but doing the... I don't know, it just sounds a bit more exercisey to me. You've got to figure out the ones that work for you and what you like the sound of, and then spend most of your time working on those things. That's really what I'd recommend. The takeaway lick, the thing that I think if you're going to break it down into just one real usable little bit, will be doing the ascending version, starting on the root note on the 7th fret of the 4th string, in this case, in the key of A. And just putting a little slide or a bend at the end. I think it's just a really, really nice little lick. There's lots of different variations you can get of the same thing in different patterns of the pentatonic, that is. So have an explore, but that's the one that I'll put in the tab over on the website for you to check out from that particular pattern. When we move into pattern 2 of the minor pentatonic, it's not massively more difficult, but the fingering, particularly when it gets faster, I feel like my fingers get a little tangled. Again, I always start these things on the lowest root note in that particular pattern, so that would be the 7th fret of the 4th string in this particular case. Again, it's one of those ones where I have practiced it, but I'm just not feeling doing all of it that way. But there's one little part of this one that I think works real great. And it's not dissimilar to the one again that we did for 3 in a line here. So we're going to start on the root note, the 10th fret of the 2nd string, go down from that. Next note up the scale. Next note up the scale. Then we're going to finish it by just going down 8th fret, 10th fret, 8th fret, 10th fret on the 2nd string to the 8th fret. So, and this pattern works great as a little repeater. Okay, again, you can incorporate the hybrid picking if you want. So down, down, middle finger, the hybrid. Down, hybrid. Both times it's hitting that note there is when you're doing the hybrid. There, there. So that little lick is a really good example of something that you might want to try moving through different pentatonic patterns. So exactly the same lick. Starting in box 5 of the minor pentatonic scale. Box 1. We've already done box 2. 3. Box 4. Works really, really well. Each one's got its own little kind of fingering quirk. Box 4 probably is the hardest one because the first finger's got to jump between 2 different frets. But that's the kind of idea where just taking a little lick, any idea, and not just this lick, but when you're learning guitar, any lick that you find, any little concept, any idea that you want to explore, you should try taking it through all of the different patterns you can and seeing what you can get out of it. I'm just going to share one more lick with you that uses this melodic sequence. It's in pattern 4. And I just kind of stumbled upon it when I was looking at the different fingering options. It's nothing particularly difficult. We got this. It's just really here navigating this part of the pattern that gets a bit awkward. So 3rd finger, 2nd finger, 3rd finger going to 1st finger, then 1st finger goes back, using your 2nd finger a tone bend at the end, doing it in the same fret as the 3rd finger. A little bit tricky. So as I mentioned earlier, I think it's a really good idea to try taking this melodic sequence, the reverse 3 in a line, through all 5 of the pentatonic patterns. It's challenging. You're going to meet things that are really difficult and you have to make a decision as to what fingering you're going to use. Is it worth the practice? What benefit is there to practicing it? Is it going to help your dexterity? Is it going to come out in a musical phrase that you like? Okay, for me, that's the most crucial thing. I have to really like things that I'm going to practice. I don't have time in my life anymore for practicing things I don't like the sound of. We are what we eat. When we improvise, we're likely to do the things that we've practiced. So I don't want to practice things I don't like the sound of. If I like the sound of something, I'll put maximum effort into trying to figure it out, even if it's technically difficult or it requires a lot of practice, a lot of repetitions. But if I don't like the sound of it, then I don't tend to find the motivation to practice it. Perhaps you're the same. So something to try out. Have a go through all of the 5 pentatonic patterns. Find little bits that you like. Find the bits that feel comfortable under your fingers, because you're likely to like different things to me. That's why we're all different, and that's the beautiful thing about music. So go forth and explore. As usual, there'll be tabs and example diagrams and all of that over on the website. There'll be a link in the description if you're over on YouTube. Please do subscribe to my channel if you dig what I do. I really appreciate the support. Nearly at 1 million subs. Maybe by the time you watch this, I'll be clocking it, but that's kind of exciting. Loads more exciting things going over on the website as well, so make sure you register over there. It is still free. So I'll see you for plenty more lessons very soon, and probably some more melodic patterns if you're real lucky. I'll see you for more later. Bye-bye.